Hello and welcome to the Strong, Healthy, Happy podcast. I am your host, Debra, and I'm really pleased to be here today for my fifth episode on what does picking your indulgences even mean. And I want to emphasize before I get stuck into this podcast how pleased I am to be at episode 5, because I was listening to someone that I look up to within the industry, and they said that most people don't get past episode 3. So I'm doing really well to be at episode 5. And then the next marker that this person said is that the next lot of people never get to episode 20. So I am absolutely dead set to be here at in the future at episode 20 and be able to say, hey, here I am. I made it to episode 20. So let's not get ahead of myself. I've made it to episode 5. I'm really enjoying making and recording these podcasts. And I do hope that you enjoy listening. And just before I get stuck in, just a reminder to please subscribe to the podcast. And it would mean so much to me if you shared a particular episode that resonated with you or that you particularly enjoyed, or you just wanted to share the podcast as a whole. I would really appreciate it if you shared it on your social media or recommended it to your friends or both. And of course, feel free to leave me a review and a rating. And yeah, the main thing is sharing it with your friends, because there are other people out there who would really benefit from some of the subjects that I'm talking about in my podcast. And as part of being an online coach, what I do is I help women feel good, improve their health, work towards goals, whatever they are, whether that be weight loss, whether that be improving strength, whether that be managing menopause symptoms, whether it just be wanting to feel good again and comfortable in your own body. So the more people I can reach, the more women I can help, the more fulfilled I am and the happier I am that I'm able to reach and help more people. So please do share. And if you're not already following me on my social medias, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and both accounts are Coaching with Debra. So do give me a follow if you're not already. So let's get on with the topic. What does picking your indulgences even mean? What do indulgences even refer to? And what I want to say to you is that I truly believe that you can live your life, enjoy your social occasions, and still make progress towards your health and your weight loss goals, if that's one of your goals. And you don't have to do one and not the other, or feel like that you can't do both because you're not going to make progress, because you absolutely can do both. And learning to do both will bring you a much better quality life, will enable you to spend good times with friends and family or whatever your social events are, and still honor those health and fitness and goals that you have that you want to continue working towards. Now, when I talk about indulgences, I'm obviously referring in the health and fitness and the nutrition space. And indulgences tend to be those more highly palatable foods that taste delicious. It could also be alcohol that tastes delicious, that we love to enjoy, but they do come at a calorie cost. And depending on your goal, that may impact your goals. And it's about choosing the indulgences that you really, really want, opposed to having the mindset that you just want it all, or challenging your mindset that just because you enjoy an indulgence, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've ruined everything. And so you may as well just really ruin things, because you haven't ruined anything by enjoying an indulgence in a social setting, or even if that's at home and you've chosen something to indulge in. It's the actions that you take following the indulgence that can often ruin your progress, not the indulgence in yourself in itself. Now, that being said, you can't have it all and expect to make progress, which is why it's important to pick your indulgence. And you have to weigh up which indulgence matters more and is it worth it? Now, for you, that indulgence might be a cocktail. It might be a dessert at a meal. It might be enjoying a full 3-course meal. It might be a specific food, or it might be a specific occasion. And what I always think is a really, really good idea is to, especially if listening to this, your Christmas is fast approaching. You may have socials in your diary, work functions, family meals and lunches, or dinners out. And what is a really good idea is to look at your social calendar in the next over the next couple of weeks and look at what you've got in your diary. How many events do you have? Do you have just one thing, or do you have multiple socials? Because if you have one thing, you are absolutely entitled to go out, enjoy yourself for your one social occasion. One social occasion isn't going to undo all the hard work that you've been doing up until this point. But if you've got multiple socials, you may want to set out those socials, look at what's approaching, look at what's coming up, and look at which ones you want to pick and choose between, in the sense of which ones you want to be a little bit more indulgent at and which ones don't really need to be indulgent. Because it goes back to that, you can't have it all and expect to make progress, but you can definitely pick those indulgences and still make progress whilst you live your life, which is really I'd like to emphasize, because living your life is really important. Because if you put your life on hold to try and achieve your goals, it can often trip you up along the way, because you could become resentful at the process of improving your health or achieving your goals. It may also lead to that bit of a all or nothing mentality, whereas if you can't do the things that you wanted to do in the way that you wanted to do them, which usually goes back to trying to do things too perfectly, and then when you don't, you throw the towel in, you quit, and often end up in that fuck it bucket, because it's like, well, what's the point? So this is where picking your indulgences and learning to accept that you can live your life and achieve your goals, and that you won't have ruined anything as long as you take a sensible approach to picking those indulgences across your social occasions. So let's talk about the social occasions. Is there, when you set out your plan and you've seen what you've got coming up, is there a social occasion where you might think, oh, you know what? I'm happy to drive to this one. I don't need to drink. And then you could choose your indulgence. It might look like a dessert. It might look like something else. But you're making compromise by not drinking at that social event. You may look at another event and think, oh, you know what? I'm going to enjoy a couple of cocktails at this one, but then I'm going to stop and I'm going to move on to just soft drinks, diet drinks, or water, and I'm going to be happy with those 2 cocktails. Or there might be a social occasion where you think, you know what, I don't have many socials, I'm going for this one. I don't want to think about anything, I'm just going to enjoy myself. And that's absolutely fine. So my advice is to always have a plan. Now, the plan doesn't need to be set in stone. It can be a rough plan, but having some kind of plan will help you know how you're going to approach each of your social occasions. It will help you be able to identify and pick the indulgences that you want to enjoy at your social occasions. So when you are at your specific social occasion, a good measure of knowing if something is an indulgence and whether it's worth it. And I will explain more about is it worth it in a minute. But if there's been something that you've been looking forward to, that you knew was available at wherever it is that you're going to enjoy your social, and you get to that what you think you've been waiting for. Because remember, the anticipation of the event, of the occasion, of the specific food or drink item, that anticipation probably gives you more excitement and pleasure than sometimes the actual food or drink will. And if you bite into the indulgence or take a sip of the indulgence that you think that you've been looking forward to all this time and it disappoints, then it's a no. If it's something that leaves you with a, oh my goodness, this is an absolute hell yes, that's an indulgence and that's worth it. But if it's a bit disappointing, not that tasty, it's a no. You don't need to eat it for the sake of it. Is it worth it? And the way of thinking about whether something's worth it is to compare it to a financial indulgence. So let's say you're out shopping and you see something you really like and it's a higher cost item, maybe higher than what you would normally spend your money on. And you weigh up, is that item worth the cost? If it's worth it, you won't hesitate to purchase it. But if you're unsure, it's often the right decision. Like, if in doubt, do now. And it's a bit like that when it comes to picking or enjoying your indulgence. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And that way, you won't waste, the same way you won't waste your money on a high-priced item that actually you regret buying, is you don't want that to happen when it comes to picking your indulgence in terms of your nutrition, your health, and whatever the indulgence is. You want to gain pleasure from the indulgence that you've picked. It needs to bring you pleasure. And if it doesn't bring you pleasure, or as much pleasure as you had expected, then it's a no. It's a stop, because it's just not worth it. And what you want to try not to fall into is this, oh, well, I've ordered it now, or I've been wanting this, so I'm going to eat it. Because to eat or drink whatever your indulgence is for the sake of it is not honoring your health values. And you could better spend your indulgence on something else that does bring you pleasure, that does give you enjoyment. So picking your indulgences is really key to being able to progress towards your goal, making compromise, and still living your life. Being able to live your life and pick your indulgences will enable you to have a much more balanced approach to your nutrition. It will steer you away from the all or nothing mentality, and you will build trust in yourself that you can enjoy these more indulgent foods or drink, and that it doesn't need or have to ruin your progress. And when you learn to combine these two things and learn to have a much more balanced approach, because outside of your social occasions, you're just going to resume your normal way of eating, your normal routine. And it's what you do most of the time that matters most. And so picking your indulgences now and again, maybe a little bit more frequently in this Christmas period, but having those compromises, sometimes saying no, sometimes leaving some food on your plate because it's no longer bringing you pleasure, is the way to find balance, and also to find a bit more freedom around food, to be able to feel empowered enough to say no, but knowing that you can still go out at another social occasion, pick your indulgence, and take the same approach. It's very freeing to be able to pick your indulgence and know that they're not just for a time restricted period. This is when it could lead to you overeating on a certain food because you're not going to eat it again. But actually knowing that you can include and pick your indulgences whilst you progress towards your health and weight loss goals is a balanced approach. And it will bring you a lot more success in terms of your health and your goals over the long term. And when it comes to your health and your weight loss goals, the faster approach you take, the more restrictive it is, and the harder it is to maintain. Whereas if you live a more balanced approach, take it a bit slower, it might take you longer to get to your goal, but you will be able to live your life. And this is a really, really great place to be. So think about your indulgences. Have a plan, even if it changes. Have some kind of plan. Know what you're going to be doing at each social event. Have a rough parameter of how you're going to handle yourself at each occasion. And remember, you can achieve your goal, improve your health, and live your life. See you on the next podcast. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch up with you soon.